Hello everyone, and welcome to my BTG official channel. Bill is dead. The words echoed through Dani's trembling hands as she stared at the glowing phone screen, her breath catching in her throat. She couldn't move, couldn't speak, couldn't even process the flood of disbelief surging inside her. Bill, the man who had always seemed too stubborn, too strong, too alive to ever just stop existing, was gone. A silence so sharp it hurt filled her kitchen, broken only by the hum of the refrigerator and the distant cries of sirens racing toward the hospital. She tried to call him again, voicemail. Tried Randy, disconnected. Her heart dropped. Something was very, very wrong, and deep down, Dani knew this wasn't just an accident. As she rushed out the door, the flashbacks came in waves, Bill's last words to her, the tension in his voice, the fear he tried to hide beneath his usual sarcasm. If anything happens to me, Dani, don't trust Hayley. At the time, she'd brushed it off, thinking it was just Bill being paranoid about his ex-wife's erratic behavior. But now, those words burned like acid in her mind. She reached the hospital, pushing past reporters and murmuring bystanders, her heart pounding in her chest. The moment she saw the white sheet covering Bill's body, her knees buckled. The nurse's sympathetic eyes said what words couldn't, it was over. Dani's sobs broke through the sterile air, grief mixing with fury. She wanted answers. And she knew exactly where to start looking, Hayley. Hayley, who appeared hours later at the hospital wearing oversized sunglasses and crocodile tears, clutching her purse like it contained the script to her next performance. She gasped dramatically when she saw Dani, pretending to be shocked by the tragedy. "Oh my God, Dani! What happened?" "Bill, no, it can't be true." But Dani saw right through her. There was no tremor in Hayley's voice, no genuine sorrow in her eyes, only fear of being found out. Dani didn't respond. She just stared, her eyes red and unflinching. "You tell me, Hayley. You always know what's going on, don't you?" Hayley hesitated, momentarily losing her composure, before forcing a sympathetic smile. "Sweetheart, you're grieving. I understand. Let's not make accusations, cut the act," Dani snapped. "I know you've been meeting Randy behind everyone's back. What did you do?" At that moment, Randy entered, escorted by 2 police officers. His face was pale, his shirt stained, his hands trembling as the cuffs clicked shut around his wrists. "Randy Pearson, you're under arrest for the attempted murder of Danielle Moore and the death of William Collins," the officer announced. The crowd gasped. Cameras flashed. Hayley froze, her mouth open, words failing her for once. "No, this isn't happening," she whispered, but Dani saw the terror flicker in her eyes, the kind of terror that only comes from guilt being cornered by truth. The police led Randy past Dani, and for a split second, their eyes met. There was no defiance in his look, no anger, only regret. "I didn't mean for it to go this far," he murmured under his breath. "She made me do it." That was all Dani needed to hear. The truth she had suspected was now undeniable. Hayley wasn't just manipulative or cruel, she was deadly. Over the next few hours, the full extent of Hayley's scheme began to unravel. Detectives pieced together text messages, secret recordings, and bank transfers that painted a portrait of deceit so intricate it was almost unbelievable. For months, Hayley had been planning this, every move, every lie, every tear carefully calculated. Her motive? Money, revenge, and control. Bill's insurance policy, worth over $2 million, had Hayley's name all over it, thanks to forged signatures and a fraudulent legal document that Randy helped her file. But it wasn't just about money. Hayley wanted to destroy Dani, the woman Bill had fallen in love with after their divorce. It all began when Hayley discovered that Bill had changed his will, leaving everything to Dani and cutting her out entirely. Enraged and desperate, she turned to Randy, Bill's closest friend and confidant, someone she knew she could manipulate. Randy was loyal but weak, a man drowning in debt and hopelessly infatuated with Hayley. She promised him everything, love, money, a future. All he had to do was help her get Dani out of the picture. What started as subtle sabotage, fake rumors, forged messages, and small accidents, quickly escalated into something far darker. The police found traces of antifreeze in Bill's drink from the night before his death. Surveillance footage showed Randy entering Bill's home late that night, using a spare key Hayley had stolen. There were also phone recordings where Hayley's voice, cold and commanding, could be heard instructing Randy, "Make it look like Dani did it. She'll take the fall, and we'll be free." But Randy, racked with guilt, had panicked and confessed everything once the police cornered him. It was over. The glamorous mask Hayley had worn for years, the perfect ex-wife, the social butterfly, the victim, was shattered, revealing the predator beneath. As Dani listened to the detective's report, a mixture of grief and grim satisfaction filled her. Bill's death had broken her heart, but at least now, the truth was out. Still, one question haunted her: why didn't Bill leave before it came to this? He'd known Hayley's darkness better than anyone. Perhaps he thought he could protect Dani by staying close, by pretending to cooperate. Or maybe, deep down, he never believed she would go this far. Dani's tears fell silently as she stood at the edge of his grave later that week, the autumn wind whispering through the trees. "You tried to warn me," she whispered. "I'm sorry I didn't listen." Meanwhile, Hayley's world was collapsing. Her home was raided, her assets frozen, her face plastered across every news outlet as the prime suspect in a murder and fraud investigation. She tried to maintain her innocence, giving one last interview to a local reporter where she sobbed and insisted, "Randy acted alone. I loved Bill, I would never hurt him." But the evidence spoke louder than her lies. The forged documents bore her signature. The text messages matched her phone. And most damning of all, Randy's confession explicitly named her as the mastermind. In a chilling twist, investigators discovered that Hayley had attempted to flee town hours before Randy's arrest. Security footage from the airport showed her with a suitcase full of cash and a fake passport under the name Helen Grant. She'd planned everything, except for Randy's conscience finally breaking. When confronted with the recordings, Hayley's mask finally cracked. "He was supposed to do what I said," she screamed during interrogation. "I told him to handle it quietly, not kill him." The detective's response was cold and final: "You ordered a man's death, Hayley. There's no quiet way to do that." News of her arrest sent shockwaves through the community. Neighbors who once admired her now whispered about the monster next door. Dani, though devastated, found some comfort in knowing justice was being served. But the damage was irreversible. Bill's death left a void that no amount of vengeance could fill. Weeks later, at the trial, Randy took the stand. His testimony